Hey guys, it's your girl London, and for today's video, I'm actually showing you how to reuse your closure. Yes, ma'am. They may have told you that you have to throw it out or start all over, but in this case, we went ahead and recycled and reused, and we hooked this closure up. So if you want to see how I did that, please stay tuned. So let's get started. So this is my client. This is the previous little pixie cut that she had. And usually when you cut your closer down really short, there's nothing that you can do with it. But I'm here to beg to differ. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting off the back end that we had installed. I'm adding some netting because I'm going to actually give her just a slight longer version of the pixie cut that she previously had. And so this netting is going to allow me to stitch in areas where there isn't any hair. You can see her hairline, the hair is very sparse right there, and she's also cut really close. So by me adding this net, it's going to give me more space available to sew on, and you'll see here. Otherwise, I would just be sewing on those 3 braids, and that would not be enough. So right now I'm creating an anchor braid, and so I'm doing this maybe about 1 inch or so below the last braid that she originally had. And this is just going to give me something to attach the net to so that I can bring the wefts down lower. And right now I am stitching that, and this is going to give me that surface that I was speaking of, if you can see here. And I'll be able to actually put tracks all through this area as well. And I don't need a lot, just enough for a little more fullness and a little more length. Now once I have that net anchored down, I'm going to go in with my wefts and start to stitch those in. And I'm making certain that I keep it right at the lower end of this netting because I want it to be able to lay flush with her face, or with her head I should say. So I'm going to just go ahead and start to stitch this all the way around, and I'm going back and forth in like a U shape. Now right here, if you watch carefully, if you can see, there isn't any braids where I'm stitching. I had to anchor the netting, and I am literally just stitching on net alone. So this is for clients that have thin hairline or no hairline at all. You can use this method, and this will allow you to be able to bring that weave out further than you would be able to do if you were just using their natural hairline. And I'm going to flip it up just a little bit so that you'll be able to see what I'm speaking of. But I'm literally not braiding on any braid. It's just net. Look at there. So I usually call this the flap method. Most of my clients know about it, those who I use it on. And it just creates a little flap right there in that area. And believe it or not, it does not expose when the wind blows or anything of that sort, because you'll have more wefts above it that'll weigh it down. So again, this just allows you to create those looks that should be very close to the hairline when your client's hairline is thin, or they might have some form of alopecia or something around the front. And again, I'm just going back and forth again in that little U shape, and I'm just flipping the track as I go back and forth. Now, if you are using weave that is bulky and it does not flip flat, then I would suggest that you cut it before going back to the other side, and do not flip it, because then it'll be bulky and it'll look weird. Now this is some blonde hair, or some hair that I actually previously dyed, and I'm just going to put this in the front just to give her some highlights. This was her birthday weekend, so we want to turn it up a little bit. So we decided to go ahead and put a few blonde streaks in. And sometimes just a few strands is all you need. You don't necessarily have to do a full head. I always feel like if you go for a really bright color, if you keep the roots dark, it makes it a lot better and not so harsh with your skin tone. So I'm just going to add a couple of wefts of this in there. And again, I just lift the track so that you could see that there isn't any braids or anything to actually adhere to. I am simply stitching on the net. Now here is the trick. The closure, of course, is very short, so I know y'all thinking like, how is she gonna blend that choppy closure with this longer hair? And this is how I plan on doing it. I'm just gonna stitch right through my closure. So ordinarily I would stop where the closure starts, but of course that would create a divide between the shorter and longer hair. So I'm actually just gonna sew right across it, as I would do if it was her actual normal hair. So I'm gonna go across and I'm gonna make certain that I stop my weft right where her part is. So earlier I tweezed the part just so that the part would be distinctive and I wouldn't have to try to relocate it when I got to this part. It also makes it easier for the client to find. But if you can see here, I'm simply just stitching right through that lace closure, and I'm doing it as if I would if there was a braid underneath. And that's what it looks like. So I'm just going to anchor this little tail end down. And again, you want to make certain that you come up to the part, but you don't want to come past the part, because then your tracks will show. Now, once I've added that first track through the lace closure, I'm going to go ahead and build on that. So this next track is going to go right above it. You want to make certain that each track you lay through the lace covers the previous track. So you don't want any of them sticking out. You don't want any of them to be seen. So you want to make certain that you're stacking them right above one another. And again, make certain you stay out of that part, because that part is everything. That's the whole reason we're reusing this closure. We just want to keep a natural part. Her hair is natural up under the weave, so we didn't want to do an actual leave out. And this closure also helps to kind of bring her hairline a little more further up, because it does recede back a little bit. Now for me, when I'm adding a closure, I try not to go too far past the natural hairline. So if your client's natural hairline does recede back a tad, you want to still kind of mimic the natural hairline. You don't want to go 3 inches in front of their natural hairline, like near their eyebrow, if that's not normally how they grow hair. It won't look realistic. They've been around enough people to know that that's not their hair growing like that. So you want it to fall as natural as possible. So coming up maybe about a ½ an inch should be about as far as you come, especially when you're doing these shortcuts. Otherwise, it will look like it's just kind of laying at the forehead, and it won't look natural. So now I'm going back in the opposite direction, and I did the exact same thing. I sewed right through the lace closure on this side. And so after I've completed that, I'm going to go in and cut this. So I previously razored the hair, and now I'm notch cutting because I don't want it to be very blunt. And once I create the weight line of where I want this haircut to stop, I will go in and blend the shorter hair with the new hair that I just added. So initially we went for a longer length, more so covering the eye, a little sass, a little jazz to it. But later throughout the video, we decided that a shorter length on that side would be better, preferably above her ear. So I did cut it shorter, and you'll see that later in the video. Now right now is the most important part. You have to blend that shorter closure with the longer hair that you just added. And I'm doing this on an angle, if you can notice, because I don't want to lose the length. I already have it established where I want this hair to stop at. So I have to make certain that my fingers are on a slant so that I don't use the length, but I still bridge the length of the hair from the closure with the new hair that was just added. And so that is the reason why I'm not parallel to the head and I'm angling upward. So I'm going to also do the same in the top. Of course, the closure is a little bit shorter in the top, so I'm going to create some layers to blend out with the shorter hair up top. And then I'm going to go ahead and clipper her back and shave this down. So now I'm using my chi. Y'all know I love chi, and I'm just going to rub this throughout her hair. And right now I still have the longer length, but I did go in and cut that shorter. I'm using my Chi holding spray, and I'm spraying this prior to curling just so that it kind of holds those curls in place as I do it, as opposed to kind of waiting to the end. Okay, so this is the shorter length that we decided on. Very sexy, very easy to maintain. That was also her concern. She wanted to have a lot of hair that she was going to have to do a lot of curling or rolling with. And so this would have been easier to wrap at night and just get up and go. So I'm always looking for the easiest maintenance service that I can provide my clients with. So I'm keeping this very soft. We're not doing a whole lot of curls, just something very natural. She wanted to be able to mimic the style when she got home, so I didn't overdo it with the curls or anything. And that little clip on the side is just to kind of hold that side down. There she's waving. This is the finished look, you guys. So you cannot tell that this was a recycle reuse closure. We went ahead and hooked it up, and she has a brand new look. So if you'd like to see more videos like this, make certain that you subscribe. And as always, I'll see you later. Bye, loves.